Hey, nice shirt, Mark.
Hi, everybody, and I want to welcome you all to another edition, a special edition of On the Marc Sports Talk with your host, Mark with a C. How is everybody today?
Hi, Mark. Happy 100.
Mark.
I'm so happy to see so many faces on our screen today. This, of course, is show number 100. It's 100 shows in 100 weeks, set the century mark. Congrats to all our panel members who have been coming regularly, and even to the newcomers with us today. And of course, all these shows, are on Spotify and Apple iTunes. If you want to hear some old shows, they're there waiting for you. Well, what an achievement indeed. What's that?
I forgot to say Kanahara.
Okay. What an achievement. We started this on May 7th in 2020.
No, March.
No, May.
We decided to start this on May 7th, 2020.
Okay.
And here we are 100 weeks later, and it's amazing. If we had wine and champagne, I'd give you all. I want to thank you all for tuning in today. And I'm glad to see everyone who purchased a commemorative 100th t-shirts. Nice to see you all in the black and gold or the blue and gold shirts. You look really cool. Our special guest, Glenn Consor, will be with you in a second. Just want to say something to you, Ron. This is your Glenn. This is your third time with us. You appeared in show number 18, September 3rd, 2020. And then you were also on for our 34th show, which was December 30th of 2020. So this is your third time, and I really appreciate you spending time with us. So without any further ado, because I know you have to go, I want to have your buddy, Ron Schreiber, to introduce you officially. Ron, take it away.
Okay, thank you, Mark. I'd like to introduce the TV and radio analyst for the Washington Wizards, a good friend of mine from a long time ago, Mr. Glenn Consor. Thank you, Glenn, for being here.
My pleasure. My pleasure. Always good to see everyone here.
Yeah. I was wondering maybe if you wanted to start off, let's say, with an East recap, maybe what your thoughts are on the East teams, who has a good shot or whatever. So I'll leave that up to you.
Okay. I think it's up for grabs. I still think Milwaukee is, could win the East, but, you just don't know what the Nets are going to look like. You don't know what Miami's going to do. I think the Celtics losing Robert Williams really hurt them, but they were really playing very well. And, I think the East is, very much up for grabs. I think Chicago could still surprise. So it's really hard to predict because of injuries. And, it's been such a strange year with COVID and injuries and trades and all this stuff to really determine what's going to happen. But I still think the Nets are loaded and the Nets could surprise. But and I think the Celtics can too. Miami Heat, to me, defensively is, and I think you see it more in the playoffs than during the regular season. Defense becomes a really big deal, and I think they are a very underrated defensive team that you'll see how good they are in the playoffs. But they're loaded too. Miami's loaded too. So Miami could be that surprise team, but who knows? I still think Milwaukee, I'm not a betting man and I don't bet, but if I had to, I would say Milwaukee, but I wouldn't put a lot of money on it.
So it's up for grabs.
What did you think of the Ben Simmons, the trade? Who do you think won the trade?
I don't think you can tell yet. the fact that Ben's not playing is is a big deal to your question, Ron. But I think when he plays with those three guys, it has the potential to be. They have the potential to be a powerhouse, and they're deep too. So I think Harden and Embiid fit very well together. Philly's another team that could surprise because of those two guys. They can carry him. It's hard to say. They gave up a lot. The Nets did for Ben Simmons, and they really haven't had much to show for it yet. But maybe one day they will. So I think it's hard to answer that question.
But it's funny. I think the big plus in that trade was getting Curry.
Mm-hmm.
He's an outstanding shooter, and he gives what Joe Harris was supposed to give.
Right.
I think that was a big plus in the trade for the Nets. And for me, look, my opinion is I think the Nets are the team actually to beat in the East, because now that Curry's going to be Irving's going to be able to play at home more. Of course, if they have to play Toronto, that's a whole nother story.
Ron, you picked the Nets way back when the season began.
So did everybody else.
Yeah.
It's interesting because Kyrie and KD are, maybe you remove maybe you remove Embiid from this, but Kyrie and Durant are the most dangerous offensive players in the NBA. You can't guard those guys. They're unguardable. And no matter what type of strategy and game plan you have against them, it almost doesn't matter because they're so elite offensively. So I think what Ronnie's saying is right. I mean, Seth Curry is a phenomenal player. He's not just a shooter, but he really knows how to play too. And but those two guys could really take that team pretty far, even without Ben Simmons, because they're so unique.
And what's the news on the Washington Wizards? I know they had their struggles. How is Bradley Beal and everything?
Well, Bradley Beal's out. He's got a wrist injury, which to some degree is good because it's not a knee or a foot. Where there's always the ambiguity of returning and what they're going to look like. He's going to be fine. Bradley Beal's healing up. He's on schedule. We've had a lot of good play from Kyle Kuzma. We've had a lot of good play from a lot of our younger players. And KCP, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, has really played well lately. I think from the Wizards standpoint, the fact that Brad's been out for so long and it has given the younger players opportunities like Rui Hachimura and Denny Advia and Corey Kispert, those guys, and Daniel Gafford, those guys have really had an incredible opportunity to get playing time. There's no substitution for that in the NBA. There really isn't. You can go to training camp, play a couple exhibition games, but these guys are getting a lot of reps and a lot of experience playing in the NBA. They're all very young players, 21, 22 years old. And they're producing and improving at a dramatic rate. So I think that's really going to help us for next year. And I think we're going to add a point guard. And I think we're going to add, we really need, with the addition of Porzingis, who is so unique. He's all of 7'3". I mean, he is, and he's very unique. Keeping him healthy is going to be the number one thing. But if he could stay healthy and we could add a couple of pieces, I think we can be pretty competitive.
Now, what's the chances of Beal re-signing?
That's a good question. I think they're good. I think the question is, is he in the same? He's going to get a Supermax deal. The Supermax players in the NBA are Giannis, Luka, Durant. Is he at that level, Embiid, to carry a team? I don't know, maybe. But, I think the team has some decisions to make with that too. But I know we want to re-sign him, but nobody really knows what Brad's going to do. And I think Brad likes it here, but maybe it's time for a change for him. And I don't know. I mean, I would hate to lose him.
Weren't they doing really well before he got injured, right?
Yeah, pretty well. I mean, we made a bunch of moves, and Brad was playing well, the Wizards were playing well, and then we just had to reshuffle the deck for a variety of reasons. I just think the future is bright, but there's a lot of ifs. If we can get that elite point guard, if we can get more physicality, because with Porzingis, if you think about the personnel of our team, it's a lot of finesse guys. And I think to win in the NBA, you need physicality, you need PJ Tuckers, you need guys like that, Marcus Smart, to bring to body slam guys, to get physical. You need that, and we need that as a team for next year.
Interesting.
Who else has
Oh.
questions for Glenn? Go ahead, Michael.
Yeah, hi, Glenn. Thanks for coming.
Hi, Mike.
The Lakers and the Nets, let's face it, their star players chose their team and they chose their teammates. And for the most part, they're having mediocre seasons, of course. Now, who's to say, although the Lakers have a problem to get into a play-in position, let's suppose the Lakers and the Nets get into the playoffs from the play-in position, and they go all the way up to the finals, and they compete against each other for the finals. What does that say for the regular season? And should that continue? Should the commissioner do something about things like that happening?
You mean like collaborating, letting players dictate who's on
The
their
only
team?
reason that happens, Glenn, when you think of it, it doesn't happen in any other sports.
Yeah, well, it does, but like, would Gronk have gone to Tampa Bay if it wasn't for Brady? So I think it does happen. I mean, I think you have those situations. I know that Kentavious Caldwell-Pope and Bradley Beal are very close friends, so we had a little bit of that too. But it doesn't mean it's going to work. Chemistry is a strange thing. It doesn't necessarily, talent doesn't always necessarily mean you're going to win games. The chemistry amongst the talent is going to dictate if you're going to win games. Who in the elite players can sacrifice and do other things to help their team win. All those things add up in chemistry. And I'm not sure it's such a bad thing for the league, but it doesn't always work. I mean, LeBron, making the move to get Westbrook, on paper looks great, but it hadn't worked. Anthony Davis went out and they look like a different team. Look at the Clippers right now. The Clippers are getting back. Paul George is back as of the last game, and evidently Kawhi's coming back. So I got news for you. That's a completely different team now than we've seen the whole year with the Clippers. Having those two guys back, those are two of the elite players in the league. So
that doesn't say much for the way, but that doesn't say much for how the season went, right? Look, the Golden State looks phenomenal, and
no, they don't.
No, they don't.
not anymore. You're right.
Not anymore. Not anymore. I mean, we beat Golden State, and we're not very good. We beat Golden State twice this year. And Steph had 47 in one of the games.
Right.
So, so much of it is who's playing, who's not playing,
Right.
And who's going to sacrifice. That the ability for these guys to make adjustments to their games, to play with other elite players, is a really big deal in the NBA. And you got to be ready to do that. But that being said, not to sugarcoat any of this stuff, you win games with your stars in the NBA, period. You rely on them to close games out, and you win with them. So the teams that have those guys that could, are ISO scorers when you need a bucket and that shot clock is ticking down, you rely on them. And if you don't have those guys or even multiple players, that's why the Nets are so intriguing. And that's why I mentioned Kyrie and KD, that they are so elite in scoring, man, that, you can't focus on one of those guys without the other one going off. So the NBA is a league of stars, and stars win games for you. So it's gonna be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, Larry.
Can you talk at all about the Knicks?
Yeah. Yeah. They need players, they need some more elite players. I mean, I love Randall and I love RJ Barrett, but that's my point. That kind of goes back to what I was saying about Bradley Beal. Are they KD and Kyrie? Are they Paul George and Kawhi? Are they Chris Paul and Devin Booker? No, they're not those guys yet. So, they need more talent. I mean, talent wins games. Your all-stars win you games in the NBA.
The New York press is ripping Randall every day.
Yeah, well, the New York press rips everybody every day, and so does every newspaper. Doesn't matter what you do.
Yeah. Yeah, Freddie.
Glenn, don't you think this is one of the best NBA seasons in terms of how many teams can actually have a chance in the playoffs? Usually you get down to say it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4 teams. I'll tell you, team out west that is really good is Memphis.
Oh, yeah.
But, it's funny, though, when Morant is injured, they're like 10-2. But
They're 18-2.
18-2.
Which is remarkable. They might be the exception to what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And I'm glad you brought that up because they're so intriguing. I mean, they just play so well together with what they have. You can get away with that in college.
Yeah.
In other words, in college, you could get away with maybe not having, the elite of the elite, and
Right.
you run and press and you have strategies and you make adjustments and you win games. But in the NBA, that's harder to do. They are the exception. They have a bunch of guys that defend. They're very good defensively. They play well together. They sacrifice, and they got a lot of good young talent that I think you'll hear much more about as the years come, as being elite players. Aside from obviously John Moran.
That guy Bain is excellent.
Who's this?
Desmond Bain.
Oh yeah, Desmond Bain, Dylan Brooks. I mean, Jackson.
I'll tell you which guy killed the Knicks too. The rookie, Williams. I forget his first name. The rookie from Stanford.
Yeah.
But he really had a nice game against the Knicks. I really love watching them play.
And they're a well-run organization, man. And think about what they've done. They've drafted these guys, and they could be. I'll tell you another team that's intriguing is Cleveland. Yeah, Cleveland's very good too. And they're building on a lot of young players like Mobley and those guys. So that's another team. They have that one veteran in Kevin Love that is like a steadying force, but they're pretty young, like Memphis is. So, but those organizations are really developing young players. Every year, those guys get better. That's why I kind of emphasize that with us. I'm hoping that, with us, and there's no guarantees, we'll be in that category.
Why do you think the Hawks have regressed a little from last year?
I think John Collins going out really hurt them, because I think he's very underrated. He's incredibly athletic. I think that hurt them a lot. But that's another team that if it clicks at the right time could pull an upset in the playoffs. Playing game. They're going to be in the playing game.
Yeah, definitely.
But I'll tell you, I'm very disappointed in. Okay, Roger. Okay, you go first.
Oh, sorry, Ron. Sorry to interrupt. Glenn, thanks for coming on. I know this is one of Ron's pet peeves with Russell Westbrook, but Russell Westbrook played very well for you guys last year. Would you guys be willing to take him back? Because I know it seems like he's worn out his welcome for the Lakers.
Would we take him back?
Yeah.
No, I don't know. That's a lot of money to take back. It's kind of like what I was talking about with Bradley Beal. These guys hit a point where I still am a big Russell Westbrook fan. I think he gets over criticized. It's just my opinion. I think he gets over criticized. I think he, he's a little wild at times, but he makes plays and he, for some reason in his game, and I saw it last year with us, for some reason, he just like turns it on at the end of the season. He looks like a different player. So you don't know what you're going to get with him. And he's turnover prone, but he's so fiercely competitive. And one thing you can't say about him is that, he's lazy and doesn't bring it at times. He brings it every game. He tries so hard and he's passionate about playing. And that's what I like about him.
All those triple doubles were incredible for the Wizards.
Yeah. I mean, he did it all. I mean, he really set the tone for, working hard and practicing hard and being a leader. And I have a lot of respect for him.
No, to be honest with you, Roger's right. And I think I spoke to you about it, how disappointed I was with his play. But I've gained a new respect for him and less respect for LeBron. My reason being is LeBron is taking too many days off. I'm sorry. If you're in the middle of a playoff run and your knee's a little sore, you know what? You kind of play through it. But Westbrook, that's one guy. He's there every night. He doesn't take a night off. Load management is probably not in his vocabulary. So
right.
I've gained more respect for him in the last couple of weeks and lost more for LeBron. He picks his games.
Isn't Westbrook younger?
Yeah, Westbrook's younger. Yeah.
Yes.
But like LeBron picked the game. He plays in Cleveland because, it's Cleveland and has a big game. Mm-hmm. And then he's out for a day or two. I mean, hockey's my number one sport. Okay. LeBron doesn't have hockey mentality when it comes to injuries. I mean, there are guys who play with skate on broken feet or whatever, broken hands. They play
broken
through
ankle.
everything. And considering the Lakers are up right now on the outside looking in, you think you push yourself. Now, I have a thing. I think he's banking games, if you want my opinion, because I may be stupid, but he said he wants to play with his son in a few years. So if he plays less games this year, next year, it's less wear and tear on his body. I don't know. Am I reaching for something? Probably. But
yeah, I don't know, Ron. That's a tough one. I don't know what that guy's thinking about, when, with especially with this season. I'm sure he's very frustrated and he's not used to losing, and then I'm sure that's, really taking a toll on him. The fact that he doesn't have Anthony Davis all those games. I mean, no one talks about that. Anthony Davis, is as elite of a big guy as there when he's healthy in the NBA. He could do so many things. He hasn't been there. So that's a huge loss. What would they look like with Anthony Davis, Russell, and LeBron? I mean, healthy. But you know what? You look at their team. Look at their team. Aside from those guys, they haven't gotten much from anyone else. I think they, Taylor Horton, that guy, think about their team. They don't, they really don't have that much depth, or even, I'll call them B players that can get you 20 points on a given night. They don't have it. So they need more.
No, they don't.
Davis is supposed to be back tomorrow.
Yeah, well, we'll see what kind of condition he's in.
Yeah.
Condition and how long he lasts.
And if he's going to be on a minute restriction. That's all the stuff we don't know.
Is James going to play tonight against the Jazz, or is he sitting that one out?
I don't know.
I heard he's out.
Did you?
That's I saw ESPN has who's in, who's out. I guess it could change, but
Glenn, have you ever interviewed LeBron?
No. Never interviewed LeBron.
Have you wanted to?
Sure. I would have liked to, but I never had a chance to interview him. I did broadcast one of his last games in high school. It was the Capitol Classic in DC, which is an All-American game. When he was coming out of high school, going into the NBA, I did that game with him, which was actually pretty cool. There was so many great players in that. Chris Paul and you know, I mean, there was so many great players, but no, I never had a chance to interview him.
Yeah, LeBron is not playing tonight. He's
Not
he's
playing.
out.
How many games behind are the Lakers?
I think it's
They're
13.
in 10th, a half a game ahead of the 11th place Spurs.
13 under 500, I
Yeah,
think.
they're in
For
10th.
the play-in
make
game,
a play-in.
how
No.
far behind are they for the play-in?
No,
play-in
they're
game?
in the play-in. They're
They're
just
in the
barely
play-in.
in the
Oh, they're in the
play-in.
play-in, yeah.
Half a game ahead of the 11th place.
They're fighting to get into the play-in game. They're fighting to get in, and that can go either way. But
Right.
like I said earlier, if AD comes back, you know, LeBron's LeBron and Russ is Russ, those guys have enough to upset whoever they play against. They have enough. So I wouldn't count them out if they can get in.
Right. And your team is not in at all.
No, statistically we're still in it, but you know, the Hawks got to lose a bunch of games, which they're starting to play better. We don't. I don't see it, but you never know until you're statistically
The
out of it.
Wizards are probably like the Knicks. The Knicks magic tragic numbers one. They win. Hawks win one game, the Knicks are out.
No, we don't expect to be in it at this point. I mean, I think we're going to try to win every game we can, but it might not matter even if we did.
Yeah.
Michael?
Yes, Ron's mentioning of hockey gave me something to think about. Last night, the Rangers played Detroit, and there was a game that the Rangers played back to back. Has there ever been any effort in the NBA? I don't know about hockey, but in the NBA, to avoid back-to-back games against teams that have been rested before that game? I would assume with the use of computers, if there's a back-to-back game, the second game should be against a team that also played the night before. Has that ever been addressed?
Yeah, I mean, I've been in NBA meetings where they've discussed it. I mean, I think you can't avoid it because they're trying to get 82 games into a 6-month schedule. So I think what the NBA tried to do is minimize the back-to-back games, which I think they've done. Like we're getting ready to go out of town tomorrow. We have a game tomorrow night against Dallas at home, and then we leave Saturday for a 3 games on the road. The first one's in Boston, which I think is on Sunday. Then we hop on a plane and go to Minnesota.
No, let me have my
We go to Minnesota, and then from Minnesota we go to Atlanta in a back-to-back road game. And you know, that's hard on these kids. It's hard on me, and I'm not playing, you know. But it's that you know, and that means, like, I mean, we've had back-to-back games this year because of, like, we charter planes, and it just happened the other day where we chartered planes and there was something wrong with our plane. They had to fly another plane in. We didn't get into the city we were playing till like 2:33 in the morning, and the next day was a 7 o'clock game.
Do I look smarter?
So that is really hard to fight.
Wow.
You know? But you know what's strange? Like, our team, for some reason, and I guess it's the reason that Vegas is in business, we play better in the second half of those back-to-back games. It's bizarre. No explanation for that one. No idea.
I was wondering maybe who do you think would be coming out of the West?
Ooh, man.
It's a tough one.
Tough one.
You know, Phoenix looks like the team to beat, but you know, Denver with Jokic, who is so unique and elite. You know, I like Denver's team. Who knows what the Clippers are going to look like when they get those 3 guys back? They got Utah. I mean, with Donovan Mitchell and Gobert. I mean, I like Utah's team. But there's so many teams out there, man. The West is going to be like the Wild Wild West. You know, you don't know what's going to happen.
Don't discount Memphis.
And don't discount Memphis. You know, Memphis is the team nobody wants to play.
Okay.
What about Denver?
I love Denver.
Yeah.
Yep, love them. You know, Denver with Jokic, he's so how could he not be the MVP?
Hmm.
I don't see how there's nothing he can't do. He brings the ball up, you
I know.
he's 7 feet tall. He's not overly quick, but he's he's like, I said this on the air about Jokic. To me, he's a combination of Bird and Magic together. Combine those guys. That's what he is, which is incredible.
So you would pick him over Embiid at this point?
I think Embiid's younger.
For the
and-
MVP this year, they're talking.
I think I
Those are
would.
guys.
I think I would. Yeah. I mean, don't forget Giannis in that equation too.
Yeah. Interesting. So who have the Wizards dominated this year?
The Lakers.
The Lakers?
Lakers, yeah, the Lakers and the Warriors.
That's right.
Amazing. It's amazing, huh?
Pretty good team to dominate.
I know it's, but you know what? We really haven't dominated anybody. This year was a year where we were trying to, as it turns out, because of the trades that we made and injuries that we were trying to really develop the young players. So they've gotten a lot of minutes, and I'm hoping that it pays off in the future for those guys.
And you're back on to the road games. Just said.
Yeah, we're traveling. We started traveling like middle of January.
And you like it?
I've been doing it so long.
I know.
I got used to calling the games on the monitors and being home and getting back into my bed after a road game. So
Good points and bad points, right?
it's good and bad, but look, it is what it is. It's part of the job. I'm doing it so long that like my biggest stress is packing and unpacking. Like what do I bring? I always forget something: underwear, socks, a belt. I can't keep up with it ever.
Yeah.
But it's taxing. The traveling with an NBA team is really taxing, especially for someone of my age.
That's my age too.
Right. Hey, look, I'm lucky I was able to, connect onto this Zoom call. That's where I'm at.
I have to thank Justin for that. I would never get on anything.
Exactly. That's me too.
Yeah,
Me too.
but Glenn, I know you're pressed for time, and you got plans for later or whatever. And we really appreciate you coming on, buddy.
Yes.
No, I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys having me. I always enjoy talking to everybody, and just FYI, Denny Avdia, given the fact that this is a Jewish-based Zoom call, he's really becoming a very good player in this league. Defensively, he's at an incredibly high level for his age right now. He's really tough defensively, and his shots coming. And it's pretty neat to see as we travel with these teams, the fans in different cities holding up the flag of Israel. He's got a really nice backing. And most importantly, he is as great of a kid as there is. He is such a good kid. He's polite. He wants to learn. He's not full of himself. He didn't grow up here, so he's not in that AAU world of, entitlement and narcissism, and he doesn't have any of that in him, and it's quite refreshing.
He's also a pretty good rebounder and assist man too.
Yeah, he's a very good player. He's a very good player. He's got to get better in a lot of things, but he just turned 21.
Wow.
Ron's got underwear older than 20. He still wears them. I know that.
West gives him minutes.
Justin told me, Ron.
Okay. The coach gives him minutes in the game. He gets.
Oh
20
yeah.
minutes? Good.
Please, yeah. Oh
Good
yeah.
for that. Good for that.
Who's the player in back of you? Is that looks like Pete Maravich? Who is that?
That would be me.
That's Glenn.
Oh, wow.
That would be me. That's when I had hair. That's how Ronnie remembers me, I guess.
That's right. Well, even way before that too. That's college, right?
That's college. Yeah, that's college.
We're talking high school and junior high.
Hey, Ronnie was a great third baseman, by the way. I want everyone on this.
Yeah.
He put a picture on Facebook today.
Ronnie was a great athlete. I'm going to tell you, there's like not a sport that if they invented a new sport, Ronnie would be good at it. He's that guy that everyone hates, here's a new sport. Ronnie's great at it.
No, thanks, buddy. Thanks. Nobody was better than Glenn at basketball, though.
No, that is not true. I was a late bloomer.
You guys went to the same junior high school, but not the same high school?
Not the same high school. Not the same high school.
Same junior high school.
Right.
Way back. It's great. Great to have friends. So
elementary school and junior high school. Right?
Elementary too.
That's right.
Elementary school. Yep.
Great times. Great
All
times.
right, Glenn, I want to apologize for the wording of your name in the update. They only had the one N, not the two N's. Did you notice that?
I did notice it, and I'm offended.
I'm offended. That's take it from someone like me when they write my name with a K. I know
Hey, I
exactly
got to
how
tell you
feel.
something, Mark. I got to tell you this. I have a good friend I went to high school with who played for Queens College. Ronnie, you might know him, Mark Schneid.
I've heard the name.
He played at Queens College. He's our age, and he lives in New Jersey. And I don't want to start a legal thing here, but he runs basketball camps in Marlborough, New Jersey, and his camp is on the Mark.
Is
So
that right?
I didn't want to say anything. I got a couple of lawyers. If you both need them,
All right. And he's sponsored with a C or a K.
That might be your out, Mark. You're out.
There you go.
So anyway,
right.
well, good to see everybody.
Glenn,
Thank
it's been
you.
great.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for joining us this time.
Glenn.
Always great to
Thanks.
see you, Glenn.
Thanks.
Good luck the rest of the year.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me.
Send my regards to Dave.
I will. And say hi to your family for me, Ron. All
I
right.
will. Thanks, Glenn.
All right,
Thanks,
man.
buddy.
See
You're
you
the
guys.
best.
Thank you, Glenn.
Thank you
Thanks
very
very
much.
much.
Thank you. Thank you. That was very nice.
Yes,
I
it
hope
was.
You guys enjoyed the segment. It's always good to have Glenn with us, talking basketball and current basketball. And we get a different view. We get the actual view of the game. So, okay. Comments? Anybody with comment about the segment?
It's going to be a great playoff season.
Segment was terrific,
Yeah.
Mark.
Yeah,
Well,
very
wanted
good.
to-
Glenn's very
Okay.
knowledgeable.
Yes,
Very
I
good.
wanted to hear more about Porzingis.
You should have brought it up.
Well, Glenn had a dinner he had to go to tonight. That's why he gave us a half hour only. He had the Wizards dinner to go to.
Okay.
So,
Hey,
another
Hey,
run
listen, work commitments, I guess, is more important than hanging out with us. But I really, and you could tell him we really enjoyed his presence.
Yes, please
Once
tell.
again.
Absolutely.
Hope you guys enjoyed that.
We did.
We did.
We did.
Yeah. So in moving on, I did give you a special assignment. If any of you guys want to talk about your special assignment on this special day, the assignment was, let's see if I could word this correctly. What specific sporting event that you witnessed has stuck in your mind forever? Or what's one greatest sporting event you witnessed live or on TV? I can go to TV if something you've seen, but basically live should be the main thing. Greatest thing you've ever seen. One. All right, Steven, you want to go first?
Sure. It's more than one, but it's the same thing over and over. I've gone to a number of Army Navy games. And if you ever want to feel good about the country, you should go and see these kids. You know, we used to go there early and watch the march on and the march off. And at the end of the game, whichever team loses, everybody that's on the field turns towards the losing team's side and they play their alma mater. And then at the next one, they all turn around and turn towards the winning team side and they play their alma mater. But it just sends shivers down your spine to watch these young kids and what respect they have for everything.
Right. Where the games are in Philadelphia? Where else?
Yeah, I went to about 4 games in Philly and actually 1 in the Meadowlands. I took my kids too when they were younger. They were about.
Were you in the service?
No,
No. You Army or Navy?
I was rooting for Navy. We got our tickets to a guy in Navy. And the funny thing is, he said, you know, that we went by bus, so we had about 30 people, you know, and he said one year we got better tickets. He said that one of the admirals must have died. course, they have the seniority with the tickets. So we moved down a deck.
I always root for Army. I go back to Raleigh Stitchway.
Oh, sure.
Well, he's a local kid, Mineola.
He's still alive?
Yep, I believe so.
I wonder what he's doing these days. Maybe he wants to come on the show.
Why don't you call him up?
Okay. 1-800 Raleigh. Is anything else you want to add
Look
to
him
that?
up on the internet.
Yeah. Anything else you want to add to that, Stephen?
No, I also went to you talk about old times. I went to a game up at Mikey Stadium in Army. It was Army, Utah, when they had the lone Preston whatever his name was, the lonely end. And
Bill
the
Carpenter.
Utah quarterback was Lee Grosscup.
Oh,
And
sure.
that's an event going up there too, and watching the cadets come out. When I was like an anti-war guy, and watching this is a different story.
Very good. Thank you for that. All right, Fred, you want to give yours?
Yep. March 19th, 1965. PSAL City Championship, Erasmus Hall versus Dewood Clinton. Erasmus 85, Clinton 80. Erasmus that year was 21-0. Some people have called us that year the greatest high school basketball team in the city's history. Great game, down to the wire, 85-80. We won. Next year they beat us 72-58 with Nate Archibald, who was on both those teams. We had George Thompson, who went on to a great career at Marquette and in the ABA, and was also a player in Clinton. Some people might remember Luther Green, who played at LIU and I think played in the ABA. They had not taken they had taken the games out of Madison Square Garden because in previous years there had been some problems. It was held in our gym, packed. I was able to get a ticket. Just a great experience.
Okay. Thank you on that. Michael, you got one?
Yeah, I always say that if you take a kid to a game, the first time you ever take a kid to a game, and if it's a great game, that's how you addict them. When my son was about 6, and this game was August 25th, 1988, the Oakland A's against the New York Yankees, and it was the last game that Candelaria ever pitched, as a matter of fact. And the A's took a nice lead, and by the 9th inning, the A's were winning 4-2. And this pitcher for the Yankees, his name was Gene Nelson. He stinks, an average crappy pitcher. And who's coming up but Canseco? And I go to the front and I yell to Pinello, Lou, don't let this guy pitch to Canseco. No, Lou, right? And in Canseco's entire career, he hit a ball to left field, upper deck. I've never seen a ball hit so far in my entire life. So it was 6-2, all right? But to make a long story short, and I figured the game was hopeless because Eckersley would come in and finish off the game. But for some reason, in the bottom of the 9th, the Yankees clobbered Eckersley. And then with 2 out, a guy by the name of Kenny Phelps hit a walk-off home run, and the Yankees won 6-7, and everybody went bananas, and everybody was hugging each other and high-fiving each other. And I took my kid to that game. So my son is a diehard Yankee fan forever, and that might have been what started it off.
Your son remembers that game?
You never forget. No, he doesn't remember. He was too young.
Remember.
Tell him about it. Go ahead, Ronnie.
Okay. About April 1st or 2nd, 1999. My friend calls me up who has the Ranger tickets and says he can't make it. He's going to be out of town for the last game of the season, which was April 18th of that year, 1999. So I said, yeah, I'll take the tickets, of course. So me and Melissa, we were going to go to the game. April 16th, Wayne Gretzky announces his retirement. April 18th was the last game he ever played.
Oh,
And Melissa was 6 years old at the time.
Does she remember it?
Yes, she does actually.
Oh, wow.
She does. And we were there, and I remember it was against Pittsburgh. And I think I've told this story before. In overtime, Jaromir Jagr scores the overtime goal. And to me, that was like a passing of the torch almost. Gretzky leaving, Jagr. But him skating around the ice after the game was amazing. And one other thing about, I went to that game 3 or 4 hours before the game even started. And I could not find the program anywhere to be bought. So all I have is up here, remembering the game, no program or anything.
Everything went.
You got the ticket stubs?
No, I gave them back to Sal.
Oh,
He couldn't make the game. I should have kept one,
yeah.
You should have kept one, is right.
but that was that I've witnessed
Really
in person.
exciting, yeah.
This event.
Let's see it.
Who else has a highlight in there? Go ahead, Milton, go ahead.
All right. July 9th, 1969. I did not have tickets previously, but decided to go to the Met game that night. It was the largest crowd up to that, over 59,000 people. Got tickets for standing room only. And that was the game that I saw. I was a Yankee fan, but they were not doing well in those years. And I liked the Mets just as much in those years. And it was unbelievable standing there or sitting in the steps going up and down and not believing what I could see. I just remember it was so exciting. The place was actually shaking. You could feel the stadium shaking, and that was a very big highlight because I love Tom Seaver, and
That was the one hitter?
One hitter. He
One
only
hitter for
balled-
Jimmy Balls.
and that was, by the way, that was one of 5 one-hitters that he pitched for the Mets. He had 5 altogether, one-hitters, but that was the closest.
Right.
He said in an interview after that, years later, he said he had better stuff that day than any other time he ever pitched, including the no-hitter with Cincinnati. He said his stuff was that electric. He could put the ball wherever he wanted.
He was also pitching against the Cubs.
Which was a great team.
That's
at
right.
that
They were a
time.
great team.
They were in first place at that time.
I
Sorry,
only
Ron.
remember Ernie Banks was up in the 9th inning and he got him out. And I don't know who got the 3rd out, but the 2nd and 3rd. But no, it was a thrill.
Thank you. Thank you for that memory. Who else wants to give us, Marty, you have something?
Yeah, I do. Following up on Ron with a Ranger game history, April 11th, 1975. Can anyone guess? Does anyone remember that?
April 11th, 75.
Game against the
Angel Islander
Islanders.
game.
Yeah,
Iowa,
yes.
the Rangers.
I was at the game. It was a playoff game. Remember, this is the 3rd season only for the Islanders playing the mighty Rangers. And J.P. Parisi scored in overtime, 11 seconds into overtime. Now, I'm sure a lot of you guys, especially at hockey games, know with the lines at the bathroom that it's easy to miss the beginning of the period. So a lot of people weren't even in their seats. And, you could hear a pin drop in the garden was silent. Everyone was stunned, including Islander fans. We didn't expect to win that game, but that truly was an amazing, amazing game.
Thank you for that memory. All right, Gerald, go ahead. Let's hear yours.
Most memorable game
Even the
that
cup
I
year,
attended.
there were a lot of exciting cup games that I was at, but that one at the Garden was extra special, though.
Thank you. Yeah, Joe.
Most memorable game that I attended, actually doubleheader, was at City Field. I think the year was 1970. And one of my favorite players wasn't a Met. Roberto Clemente had 8 hits in doubleheader. And what was memorable about that is that he had food poisoning. And I understand from a friend at the end of the doubleheader on TV was Ralph Kiner's Corner. And Ralph interviewed Clemente and said, Roberto, you had food poisoning and you played so well and had 8 hits. I was thinking that maybe, the rest. It's something funny.
Very nice. All right, Larry, go ahead.
1958,
Oh.
Johnny Unitas versus Charlie Connolly. I think it was the best football game I have ever seen. Haven't seen a load of them in live, but standing room only with cardboard in my shoes. It was freezing, but it was an unbelievable game, except for the fact that the Giants lost.
The Giants.
It was a great game.
Okay. And now the other Larry.
I don't know if you guys remember Greavy, who played for the Washington Bullets.
Kevin Greavy,
Kevin
Kentucky.
Kevin Greavy.
Kevin Greavy, yeah.
Well, I took the family to eat at his restaurant in Fairfax, Virginia, and from there, he had a bus to take people to the game. And the game we went to was against the Philadelphia 76ers, and you know who we saw, Dr. J. And one play he made, it was just unbelievable. I never saw it before or since. He left the key to dunk the basket. I've never seen that done by
That's
anyone.
right, that's right, that's right.
What he do? I didn't hear him say.
Yeah.
He jumped from the key.
Key.
From the key. Oh, I see.
Yeah.
That's right. I've seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Stephen G.
Yeah, a very long time ago, July the 4th of 1961, Yankee Stadium, a doubleheader. The Yankees and the Tigers. This is the first year of expansion, all the year of Mantle and Maris, and the Yankees and the Tigers would fight it out for the championship all the rest of the season. But that was a doubleheader. I remember being brought there by my older brother. I think Roy Campbell actually being an announcer, being wheeled into the stadium. And the first and only time I ever sat in the center field bleachers and could barely get in. There was a crowd of 75,000 people watching a great doubleheader. The Yankees winning the first game big, and the second game going into extra innings. With the Tigers being led by Frank Larry, who was a star pitcher for several years, a multiple 20-game winner, and then considered to be a Yankee killer. And one of the extra innings, one of the Tigers, Chico Fernandez, stole home to put his team ahead. The Yankees got the run back. And in the next inning, Frank Larry pulled up a squeeze play, put the Tigers back ahead, and they held on, won the game. But the game stuck in my memory for very many years. And the other one, the 2nd of July of 2000, the Mets trailing the Atlanta Braves 8-1 when they never could seem to beat them at all. And I actually left during the 8th inning, hearing the game on the radio, and everybody thought it was over. And the Mets came back and got 10 runs, with Mike Piazza topping it off with a home run. They won the game, and so that seemed to catapult them, and they went on from there to become a championship team, get to the World Series that year. In person, those two things stick out with me.
Yeah, that game is that's seen sometime on the Met station as like an old game. That game they scored 10 runs. But talk about the Yankee Stadium. I have one too about Yankee Stadium. And I might have mentioned this a few times on other previous shows, but I went to a bat day. I don't think it was the first bat day, but I don't understand why. It was like, this was, I had to do some research to find the exact day because I don't have any ticket stubs. But June 20th, 1965, a Sunday afternoon against the Twins, a doubleheader.
I was there. I know.
And they had 71,000 and change.
Oh, sure.
And they gave the full-size bat. And I wanted to go to get a bat. I didn't have tickets in advance. So what I usually do is just go up to the box office and buy general admissions. I think it was $1.50 or $1.30 back in those days. And you see what you want. Well, those were sold out. So I said, well, we got to get in, I went with 3 of my friends. And we were 15 years old. And Who does that today? What 15-year-olds hop on a train and go to
Nope.
Bronx? No one does anymore, but we did.
I
in those
did it when
days.
I was about 10 or
Yeah.
11.
Yeah,
So
me too,
let's
Joe.
go sit.
Me too,
let's go,
Joe.
let's go sit in the right field bleachers because there was separate admission for the right field bleachers than the left field bleachers. So we went for the
75
right
cents.
field and they sold out.
Yeah.
What was that, 75 cents? But there
Yep.
were seats in the left field bleachers. So for 75 cents, we went through the turnstiles. They gave us, I got a Tom Tresh autographed bat. And we went to left. I never sat in the bleachers before, let alone on like a 95-degree temperature in the sun field at Yankee Stadium. We baked. Couldn't see a thing because how far
Right.
away are you? Are you
Can't see.
500 feet away?
Yeah.
Mark,
Mark,
Mark, where's that bat today?
I have it in the attic.
Oh,
Mark,
I still have it in the attic. And
Mark, I was there that day also.
seem to go to the same games.
And I remember seeing Harmon Killebrew come to bat.
Yeah.
Like arms on his arms and hitting
Right.
the ball. It seemed like somebody hit the ignition switch at Cape.
well, I
Kennedy.
couldn't see his arm. I couldn't see. I know Harmon Keller.
Couldn't see anything.
I know he hit one.
Off the
a one
457-foot sign.
A
you
one
know?
hopper into the left field bleach. It bounced and went into the
Yeah.
bleachers.
He
But
hit-
we left after
Push.
the first game. I got the bat and got the hell out of
That
there.
was my question.
he
I
drove
left
the
after
ball-
the first game.
he
we were
drove the
beat-
ball right off the
Centerfield 461.
457-foot sign in the left center field. I don't think anybody had ever hit a ball off that before.
457. That was my memory.
It
Gerald,
Mark, that game you were at, who was the Yankee catcher? Come on.
You
I
couldn't
don't know if
see
they
him.
even had a catcher. I can't
They
say.
had the game you were at.
I have no idea.
I think it was Jake Gibbs.
Jake
I'm gonna
Gibbs,
go. I gotta
I
go.
didn't
You can get the box score if you really dig deep
Yeah. Yeah.
into Google. I'll find out. Go ahead, Gerald.
Mark, this is just a joke. The Tom Tresh bat that you got, was that the one you used as a righty hitter or a lefty hitter?
It says Tom Tresh on it.
I gotta go.
Who knew about like keeping things sacred in those
Mhm.
days? We used them.
Yeah.
Howie, I went to the park and used it in the park. We played it.
Yeah.
Howie and I
Yeah.
played in the same park. I used it.
People
I
been
still have it in the attic
busy with
somewhere.
collecting stuff like they
Yeah.
do now.
Yeah. Who else wants to finish this up? Who else has a memory? Who didn't prepare and has a
Oh.
memory?
Mark, can I do one more?
Go ahead.
The only playoff game I ever attended, my next door neighbor couldn't go. He asked me if he wanted to go. The game, October 6, 2001, when Benny Agbayani, in the freezing weather, hit a home run off the Giants in game 3 in the 13th inning. And I almost missed it because it was so freezing. I just returned barely from getting Barbara a hot chocolate. And to see the home run that propelled them to beat the Giants in that game.
One hit wonder,
great
Benny Agbayani.
Yeah.
Okay, Michael, you have another one? Or
Yeah,
what?
I was at in 1976, the game that Chambliss hit the home run. I was in the bleachers.
Oh,
And what was amazing about that was in center field where we were sitting, everybody was crazy. And they brought bats to protect themselves. And the bathrooms became unusable and people were peeing in the stands. And when the game ended, my friend who hated the Yankees, he zipped right off to his car while I was one of the Meshuggahs dancing in the field. And that was crazy, that game. Unbelievable. I'm sure if you haven't seen it for a lot of years, Google that game, Google that home run, and see the hysteria. I don't think there's ever been more hysteria on a sporting event field in the history of sports.
and who was the pitcher?
The pitcher was, oh my God, I forgot.
Mark?
Oh,
Littell.
Mark Littell. Mark with a K.
Mark, let's go.
Same thing happened in '69 when the Mets clinched the pennant. People went nuts
Against
Yep.
the Cardinals.
on the field.
Yeah. As far as bat days, they don't give full-size bats anymore. They give miniatures.
yeah.
Yeah.
Left
Larry?
So there's one issue. I was about 7 years old. My cousin takes me to Yankee Stadium with my brother, my older brother, and we go to Gil McDougal Day. And then we find out later, it never existed. We were there for it. It disappeared from the annals of sports.
Wow.
Gil McDougal.
It
I
was
like
the
your- I
same
like
day
your-
that Dr. Bobby Brown came back after being in the service to play third base.
You saw Bobby Brown live?
Yep.
I saw him
Saw
play.
him play
Yeah.
live. You're old. You're older than me. And
Yeah.
Roger, what is it? A batting helmet you got on?
Yeah, I still have it. It must have been one of my first games I saw in the early 70s, Mark, for batting helmet day. And of course, it's on the inside, it says this is not protective headwear.
That's right.
You should wear it for like Little League or something like that.
Yeah, very true. Very true.
Isn't it a little small?
It's a little,
Yeah, it's small, yeah.
it's adjustable on the inside, see?
It looks good on you. Keep it on. Looks good.
You could put ice cream inside it.
There you go.
It's bigger than
Those are
those.
the kind my wife likes.
Larger than
No,
those.
nachos. They serve nachos in helmets now.
Yeah.
At City Field, right?
All right, cool.
Mark,
Anyone
one
else?
more.
Go ahead, Milt.
May, I think it was 8th, 1970. I don't know why it wasn't on television, but I stayed with the radio listening to that final seventh game of the Knicks beating the Lakers for their first championship. Without Willis Reed was hurt, I think in game 5. And I listened to that whole game. I was so listening to it because we were rooting so hard for them. And they won in the 7th game in May of 1970.
Back then, Milton, they weren't had a blackout. They weren't allowed to show the game.
Right,
live
that's
in
why I had it on the
Right,
radio.
you mentioned that earlier, right?
It was shown. It was shown about 11 o'clock at night later on.
Right, but I listened to the radio.
Yeah, so did I.
Yep.
I remember that. So did I.
Yeah,
That was like the.
Do you remember who was the
Chamberlain,
next
100
coach? Was that
Red
Holtzman.
Holtzman.
Holtzman, right?
Red Holtzman. Yeah.
Holtzman, right, right.
The glory years.
Steven.
That was like
Oh,
the
yeah.
Will Chamberlain 100-point game. Everyone said they watched it on TV live.
Right.
I did watch it live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you
Yeah,
could say you could say you could say you saw the 100th on the Mark show live.
Yeah, and
I don't
50,000
believe you.
people there.
I saw the Will Chamberlain game. Guy Rogers was the backcourt man feeding him.
Right.
Okay. I want to. We got one more, Michael. What?
No, I was just gonna say, if you live in the right spot like we did, you could get Channel 8 and watch.
In Connecticut, yep.
Yeah, right.
Knockout games. Mine came out clear as a bell. Just want to say one other thing I might have mentioned in the past. I once went to a double header that in between games, I had a guy who came out by home plate with a fishing rod, and he cast, and you can Google this, it actually happened. He casted baseballs out of Yankee Stadium. And it was the most incredible sight I've ever seen in my entire life.
Nobody
heard of
ever,
that before.
Right, but it's there.
nobody ever hit one out of Yankee
No.
Stadium.
Josh Gibson. Didn't Josh Gibson do that?
Mm.
I don't
That's
know.
what they
I
say.
don't know.
Mantle almost did when he hit the facade, I think, right?
Right.
Hit the
A couple of
facade.
years ago, Judge hit a ball that if
Yeah.
it was in the right direction, would have gone out. But,
Yeah.
Wait a minute, I was there that day. He hit the facade. I think the pitcher was Pedro Ramos. Or
I thought it was
Yeah.
Bill Fisher. No,
No, or was it?
One of
Chuck
those guys.
Stobbs?
One of
Chuck
those guys.
Stobbs.
Chuck
I think
Stobbs.
Ramos
Stobbs
shot
was
when he
in
hit
was
the
in
one
I
in
DC.
think Chuck Stobbs was in Washington when it was.
DC,
Okay.
Mickey batting righty.
Hmm.
Okay, guys, thanks for your input there. I thought it was really interesting reviewing some of that stuff. I have something for you guys in a couple of weeks to think about, and I'll tell you about it right now. But don't give me anything now. Something to
Okay.
think about. And someone brought this up to me. I don't know where this came from, but here it is. Which players came to the Mets with great expectations? Like, wow, we got this guy.
Oh, there's
And he
one.
fizzled out.
There's one.
Nothing.
Oh,
Don't
there's-
I'll
mention
give you
any
one in
names. Just
particular.
think about it.
Figueroa.
Think about it.
One right now.
I'll give you. Don't
Yeah.
call me anybody.
You don't have to think about this one.
No, it was one.
There's a
the
list.
most-
There's a list. We have those 50 some odd
No,
years.
Figueroa.
Don Bosch.
Think about it. Start jotting them down, and when I give it to you, you got it, and you'll tell us about it.
Choo-choo Coleman.
I don't want to hear anything.
Choo Coleman.
He was in the draft. He didn't come to the Mets. He was in
Choo-choo
the
Coleman
draft.
came to the Mets as a nobody, ended up as a nobody. Just a name.
Mark, you should have
Yeah,
hope for
yeah,
the Mets.
yeah.
It was a success.
Yeah, but I'm going to go this way first. Great expectations. All right, let's move on. We have a good half hour or so, and as far as numbers go, Gerald you have something in numbers? You want to do something today? You want to wait till next week? What do you want to do?
I don't have something in numbers, but I just wanted to go over the program, how I will construct programs in the future, and I could start with today.
Okay,
So let me.
So Gerald wanted a spot. He wanted
Right.
a continuous spot, and 3 digits don't work on
Right.
uniforms. So we put our heads together, and
Yeah.
this is what he came up with. And he's going to start this either today or definitely next week. What do you got?
I could start today. I won't make it very lengthy.
No,
The basis for each week's program is that officially the first baseball game was played in 1846. So
I was there.
18
I was there.
I'm
I saw you there.
It's not on TV.
I'm going to add the number of Marc's show this week, 100, to 1846. I come up with 1946. Next week will be 1947. So germane to that, I'm going to focus on baseball. 1946 was a very memorable year for me. First of all, that was the year that it all started for me.
And Big Brother
Secondly-
started beating you up, right?
Secondly, that was the year that my hero Ted Williams played in his only World Series.
Right.
Let me backtrack somewhat. 1946, that was the year after the war. Stars like Stan Musial, Joe DiMaggio, Ted Williams came back to the game. Now, Ted Williams in 1946 hit his only inside the park home run to clinch the pennant for the Red Sox. Now, germane to that, the Boudreaux shift was often employed, and there was only one fielder on the left side of the diamond, namely the left fielder. So Ted hit a shot down the left field line, and I don't know if all the players were aghast or something, but Ted had an inside the park home run. The reason I say that is that Ted was probably slower than a tortoise. In addition, in the 1946 World Series, his only appearance, he was 5 for 25, only singles, no extra base hits. I believe he had no runs batted in, and the Cardinals defeated the Red Sox in that World Series. But the reason why Ted did so poorly, and he never alibied, there was a playoff series between the Dodgers and the Cardinals. And Joe Cronin, the Red Sox manager, thought that the Red Sox should have some competition. They wanted to remain fresh for the World Series. So they put together an exhibition game against the Red Sox that included some stars such as Joe DiMaggio. I believe it was the first exhibition game, Ted Williams was hit on the elbow with a pitch that never curved. He anticipated a curveball. His elbow blew up, and they thought that they'd be able to control the bruise, but they were unable to do that. And Ted had a terrible World Series, and he was, again, only 5 for 25. And his only appearance, the Red Sox did not win. And a colleague of mine at work once said to me, Ted Williams is not a good player because he never won a World Series. And I went crazy. So that's my little story.
All right, so we'll look forward each week to your little numbers, playing with your numbers. Okay, so Michael.
Yes.
You have a rant this week because baseball season is starting next week, 1 week from today. As a matter of fact, there'll be games on during our show. So do you have a rant?
Yeah, what's my sponsor?
Oh, your sponsor's by Fruit.
Okay. Well, first of all, I just want to mention that 2 of the hottest hitters in spring training happen to be Kyle Higashioka and Marwin Gonzalez. And Higashioka says he spoke a little bit to Donaldson, and he showed him a little bit of little pointers. And who the heck knows? Maybe Higashioka is going to be the Gary Sanchez that we were supposed to have. But what makes me want to rant, and I'll go quick because I know you like me to go fast, was and today's in the Daily News, right? I really can't stand how in the newspapers, how they cannot stand the Yankees, okay? And there's a piece in the Daily News called AL East, okay? How it could be anybody's race. And they have a list of all the possible things that could happen. So on offense, the top 5 teams in the East, the Yankees are third. The Blue Jays are the best. The Red Sox are the second best. The Yankees are the third best in offense. I don't believe that. I think the Yankees are the best, all right? Defense, okay? The Rays are the best. The Blue Jays are the next best. The Orioles are the next best. The Yankees are the 4th best. I don't believe that either. I think the Yankees might be the second best or the best. So that's another one. Starting rotation.
Rose-colored glasses.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
But I'm a Yankee fan. Starting rotation. The Blue Jays are the best, followed by the Rays, followed by the Yankees, the third best. That might be true. I don't know. I disagree also. Then again, I think the Yankees are the best. And the bullpen. Okay? They have the Rays the best, the Blue Jays, the Rays the best, the Yankees the second best, and the Red Sox, Blue Jays, and Orioles. That might be true because the Rays, with the way they do the bullpen is unbelievable. And then the prediction, they have the Blue Jays to win the division, the Rays to become second, then come the Yankees third, then come the Red Sox, and of course the Orioles. And that's my rant because I really think that the media cannot stand the Yankees, and that's too bad because I love the Yankees. That's my
Hey,
rant.
next week, next Thursday, the season starts. So why don't you guys during the week and tell us next Thursday who you think is going to win each division? Like who do you think is going to win the America League East?
I
American
can
League.
tell you that now.
No, not go around, keep a little chart to
All
see
right,
how
all right.
close you are. So
Gerald
look
can tell you
around
now,
and
too.
figure out teams, pitching, and things like that. And maybe we'll ask your opinions next week. All right, thanks for that. Howie, you have a West Coast report for us?
Yeah, I got a little bit.
By the way, you're sponsored by Toll Booths.
Okay.
Dying.
Yeah, what do you got?
A dying breed.
Unmanned.
That's right.
I don't know if you guys heard it, but the Padres and the Pirates are discussing a trade for outfielder Brian Reynolds. The Padres are looking to up their outfield, and they have extra pitching, and there's negotiations going on right now. He hit like 302 last year, 24 home runs. So that could be interesting. With the Warriors, I think I mentioned this before. They've opted to take Kevin Looney out of the lineup, and they've put in 6'8" Jonathan Kuminga in the center because he scores more. What will happen to the Warriors out of the West? Who knows? Because they're playing so inconsistently each night, and because of injuries, they haven't had a chance to all play together. So they could be a first-round bust, or they can go deep in the playoffs. We'll have to see. The other thing I read, this is like a trivia question. The Giants were just, by Forbes magazine, the Giants were just rated, the worth of the Giants was $3.5 billion. And they were bought initially from the current ownership back in 1992 for $100 million. They were $3.5 billion. They're the fifth most valuable team. Can you guys name the top 4 most valuable teams?
Yankees, Mets,
Red Sox.
Okay.
Cool.
Yankees are number 1 at $6 billion. The Mets are 6, right behind the Giants.
Manchester United.
Wrong.
Red Sox.
Red Sox are third, $3.9 billion.
Dodgers
Dodgers second, $4 billion.
How about the Cardinals?
Cubs.
The Cardinals are 7th. The Phillies are 8th. The Cubs are 4th, $3.8 billion.
Cubs.
Wow.
So the Yankees are $6 billion worth, and the Dodgers are $4 billion. So
Okay. Thank you.
All I got.
That, Danny,
Yeah, hi, just chiming in a little bit late. Regarding Mike's rant on current status of the Yankees, I have to say, I didn't hear the whole thing because I had a phone call. But on March 23rd, I was down in Tampa and I went to a Yankee game, Yankees and Orioles. It was great to see because I was lucky in the first 6 innings, the entire regular lineup was put up with no substitution until the 6th or 7th inning. The only one I didn't play was Rizzo. They looked really good, I have to say. It was really impressive. I was like three rows off the first base. You know, it was just great seats that we had. It was superb. And just wanted to report on that. And the other thing regarding the West Coast report, the value of the Yankees. If you recall, Dolan, the former owner now of Cablevision here on Long Island, he offered Steinbrenner $600 million to buy the Yankees. Just think about that, and that wasn't too long ago.
How much did Steinbrenner pay for the Yankees?
$10 million.
10 million, that's
That
right.
was like, he didn't pay it. He didn't put up 10 million. He and his partners did.
Yes.
Silent
10
partners.
bucks. CBS.
Isn't that about 73?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
I think he put up 7 million.
Years ago.
Yeah.
From CBS, from
Thomas
CBS.
Webb.
10 million. Talk about an investment.
Yeah.
Well, I would have put up $1,000 for last year, but I didn't have it at the time.
all right, let's move on to Larry in Fairfax. You have a weekly story for us?
Yes, let's get back to basketball.
Okay.
The title of my story today is My Most Thrilling NBA Scorers. There have been NBA scorers with high averages over their careers, such as Michael Jordan, Wilt, KD, LeBron, and Jerry West. But to me, not many of them were thrilling or caused great excitement to watch. The following 3 NBA scorers were the most thrilling for me to watch. Earl the Pearl Monroe.
Oh, yeah.
The Pearl was the master of the spin and hesitation move.
Yep.
His smooth changes of direction just embarrassed defenders. Earl played for 2 teams in his 14-year career, the Bullets, 1967 to 71, and the Knicks, 1971 to 1980, averaging about 19 points per game. Both teams retired Monroe's number. Elgin Baylor. They called Baylor the godfather of hang time. He had a way of maneuvering his body in midair to circumvent the defenders. It almost seemed that Elgin defied gravity for a moment to make space for his shot. Baylor played 14 seasons in the NBA for the Minneapolis or Los Angeles Lakers, 1958 to 1971, and posted a very high scoring average of 28 points per game. And of course, Julius Dr. J. Irving. Dr. J was thrilling to watch at 2 levels. First, he could leap from the key to the basket. I never saw anybody do this before or since. Second, Irving cupped the ball like he was holding an apple to slam dunk it. I consider Julius the most thrilling scorer ever to play the game. Dr. J played in the ABA 1971 to 76 and the NBA 1976 to 87, averaging about 24 points per game.
Okay, thank you. Fred,
Harry, like they had George Gervin to that.
Yeah.
Iceman.
Iceman. The Iceman.
Yeah.
Great list.
He played for the
San
Spurs.
Antonio.
Spurs.
Spurs, yeah.
So a lot of people
Spurs.
never saw him play. Right back in those days, all those games were not on.
Yeah, Larry, a lot of guys can dunk from the key now because they're allowed 3 steps.
Yeah. Not more.
3 or 4.
Very good, Steve.
As
Very
many
good.
as you want.
Yeah.
And how about Miller? How How about Miller?
Oh, Reggie Miller.
A Nick kicker, a Nick,
Oh,
a
right.
Nick
God.
killer.
Yeah.
Oh,
8
man.
points in how many seconds?
Yeah.
About 5.
But we
Right.
didn't talk to Glenn about the NCAA championships. We have the Final
Yeah.
Four
Talking about pros.
this weekend.
Yeah.
So what's your guys' opinions on this, the Final Four? Kansas, North Carolina, Villanova, Duke.
Duke.
I want to talk about this a little bit. What do you think?
North Carolina, what a team.
Could be they win.
Yeah, they're playing the best ball of anybody in there.
That's true.
Yeah,
Yes.
but Duke has something to play for, right? His last game,
They all do.
coach's last game.
Yeah.
In the last game they played against Carolina, they got their butts kicked, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Kansas looks good, and no one's giving Villanova any credit at all.
Can I?
Yeah.
Well, they just lost, Mark,
Lost.
they just lost more.
Yeah.
Right,
They lost more.
Go ahead,
It's a big deal.
Fred.
I want to. Steve. I wanted to ask Steve a question. What did you think of the last game of Krzyzewski coming back and saying, reaming out his team in public after they lost by 15 points and saying this was totally unacceptable? I thought that was a really classless thing to do.
I'm not a Krzyzewski fan, you know.
Yeah, I thought that was a terrible thing to do.
You know, I've been through one of his practices, and it's like every other word out of his mouth is like a 4-letter word.
Yeah, I'm reading a
He's
book.
unbelievable.
I'm reading a book now by John Feinstein, The Legends, about him, Valvano, and Dean Smith. Great book, and they make that point. What you said about Krzyzewski. He's got this golden boy image, but he's not.
Right.
Yeah, not at all.
But
He
he's
reminds me of Lou
successful.
Holtz.
He's successful,
He's
was Bobby
like
Knight.
the Lou Holtz of basketball.
and no one
Holier
can
than
spell
thou.
his name.
Well,
He brings the best.
Yeah, Michael, go ahead. What do you got?
I just want to say, in my opinion about the Peacocks, I think they needed an extra day. I think they were, you know, they ran out of gas, and then they had to play with just one day off. And watching them play, I don't think the teams that are in the Final Four are that much better than the teams
they are.
that
Yes,
defeated.
they are.
They are.
Yes,
And who's
they
to say that if they had a chance,
It's
that they
momentum too, I think.
might have been more competitive.
Momentum.
That's my opinion. I really thought the way they play defense, they were able to cover anybody, and it was just they ran out of gas. They needed another day. That's just my opinion. That's how I felt in watching the other teams play.
And their coach right away became the head coach for Seton Hall. They knew that way before the tournament started.
Yeah.
So
Well, as soon as Willard left.
Maryland job.
Yeah.
But that's nice for him. How much more money is he going to have in his pocket for that, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm not going to ask you who you think's going to win from the Final Four, but it should be interesting to watch Saturday and then Monday's game.
But Mark, I really know.
You really know. What do you got?
The team that scores the most points.
All right, thank you.
As opposed to the team
that one.
Should have expected that one, Mark.
Yeah. And I'm just curious, the Final Four for the women. I know UConn is there, and South Carolina. So South Carolina could play UConn.
Yeah.
UConn is up to their game again with
They are back.
Well, I watched the game UConn, North Carolina. That was one hell of a game.
Yeah.
And who's that woman from the Midwest? Fletcher? Or I don't remember. She scored like 23 points. And they kept showing another.
Yeah.
Minnesota.
Yeah.
And the Who Cares tournament tonight is the championship for the NIT.
Hey.
That's right. Who
Players care.
cares?
It's
Who's
a big
playing?
game.
It used to mean something when we were kids.
Who's in it?
Still is.
It's
For
gonna be
the players
NCAA.
concerned.
We all thought it was a runner-up.
And this will be the last tournament, the last NIT for at least 2 years. Some
Yeah.
people believe that the NIT will never come back to the Garden.
What is the NIT?
National
Tournament.
Yeah. And you know, there's another tournament going on.
Yeah, the women's
Why did they
NIT.
leave?
There's a women NIT.
Yeah, Seton
And
Hall's
there's
in the
also
semifinals.
the basketball classic tournament. And today's a championship, Coastal Carolina and Fresno State. No
That's
one-
nice.
How come the NIT left the Garden? What was the reason for it? What happened? Why are they leaving the
Why are they
garden?
leaving?
Came.
COVID.
No.
No.
It gotta be money or something.
Just don't slap me.
Has to be money. Money.
Could be money.
Maybe the
Yes.
circus is coming back to town.
Do
Money
you
is
have any
the root
hockey
of
news
all
to
evil.
talk about this week?
Who? What?
Anyone
Where's
have any
Rob?
hockey news to talk about? I don't see Ron on
They
the screen
shoot, they
anymore.
score. What do you mean?
Fred, you have any
Rangers
hockey
are-
news?
The Rangers are in
Rangers are
second
playing
place.
great. They're on a three-game winning streak.
4 games. I thought it was 4.
Maybe it's 4 games. All right. They
They
beat
just came
Pittsburgh
back
twice.
in
They're
overtime.
making a move on first place, and they're a
That's
hot
right.
team. They're a hot team.
Yes,
They're a hot
Pittsburgh,
team. Down the line, we'll see what happens with them.
Right. Exactly. And Chris Kreider is zeroing on 50 goals. I think he's got 46.
Can we help
Pretty
them
good,
out?
pretty good. And what's the big soccer news, Danny? With the men's? The men's.
World Cup
Somebody
coming
got
up there.
hit.
They made the World Cup.
Canada made the World Cup.
Canada
Italy
made the
didn't
World Cup
qualify.
too. That's big.
First time in 36 years. I
And
think.
what? How about the U.S.? The first time in how many years?
They're in.
Yeah, they-
84.
They're not always in.
No, they're in most
The
of
men. What do you got, Raj?
Italy didn't make it for the second consecutive World Cup.
Italy didn't.
Right.
That was big
That's
news.
right. I saw that.
They lost to North Macedonia.
That's amazing. It's really
Yeah.
amazing.
One
So
nothing.
I have a trivia question.
Wait till we
Yeah.
Does
get to
everybody
trivia.
like the shirts?
Yeah.
You're allowed to wear it anytime you want now.
I
Okay,
hear
I
you.
gave you a restriction.
And I have a question. How many
Yeah.
black? How many blue?
Black.
Black. I think
Black and
black.
blue. Looks pretty even
One,
to
two,
me.
three.
Maybe.
Danny, you're not wearing your shirt. Did you like wear it and get a
Mine is
little?
blue.
Okay.
Blue, you're a blue.
Blue,
Yeah. Blue.
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 Do the
Why don't
Blues
we,
have it?
Six.
Why don't we go to a couple of trivia questions to
That is a
end this
trivia
week?
question.
Who's got some questions to offer for us?
Who's
Brad, you got
buried in
one?
Grant's
Yeah, I
tomb?
got one.
Yeah.
The Knicks retired Erwan Rose, number 15. There's another player from the Knicks who's also had number 15 retired.
Dick
Who is it?
McGuire.
McGuire.
Right. Dick McGuire, that's right.
What was Barnett's number?
12.
Well,
12, yeah, 11. I was thinking 11, 12. Yeah.
Remember how he shoot his free throws
oh,
with that foot?
I remember
Yeah,
his jumper.
yeah.
Fall
Jumper.
back,
Oh, yeah.
fall back, baby. His jump shot.
Now everybody uses a fallback.
Right.
Who else wants to give us a question? Michael?
All right, I'm gonna put this on the screen. And I want to ask, here's my question. Let me see. There you go. Nice and clear.
All those guys.
All right. My question is,
Bring it a little closer.
what year did this take place?
1960.
And, just who are they? Go ahead.
Can you bring it a little closer?
1960.
Richard Milhouse Nixon.
Nixon.
No.
Richard
Gerald
Milhouse
Ford.
Nixon.
The odd couple.
Gerald Ford on the right.
It's Gerald Ford.
Either.
All right.
Is that Al Kaline on the right?
Al
next to Ford?
Kaline, good.
Good get.
All right. And the
Al
reason why
Kaline.
they're there is because of somebody that Mark mentioned earlier in the podcast.
A double header.
No,
Wait, that's
The
Michael
one-
Corleone. Michael
the
Corleone on
one-
the end.
the one on the other side of Nixon is Tom Tresh.
Oh,
And what happened was he wanted to live close to his house. So he made the request and he ended up getting traded to the Tigers. So if that's the case, where are they and what year?
1960.
No.
No, that's like
Why would Tigers be at the White House?
67.
Well, they just won the World
68,
Series.
68.
69 or 68 if
But-
they won the
But
series.
Nixon
69 season and they're at the White House.
wasn't in the White House in 68. He was elected.
69.
Right.
Won the World
Right.
Series.
69, he was
So
inaugurated.
69.
No, Nixon
I
invited
was
them
that.
to the White, yeah.
January 20th, 1969.
Yeah, that's
he was
after what's his
inaugurated.
name won 31 games.
Right.
Benny McLean.
McLean.
Benny McLean.
The Lolich was the star, yeah.
So Tresh came back in that picture as a tiger.
He came back as a Tiger, right? He made the request and he ended up in the
I gotta
Tigers.
try to get a Tom Tresh
Wow.
baseball card as a tiger. That'd be
Yeah.
a cool one.
You
to
do that. Waste some more money. Remember, your son is going to throw everything.
I know. right, who else has a question? Fred again? Yeah.
Can we use some for
Yeah,
kindling?
speaking of Nixon, and he
Do we have
attended, I
to?
forget what year it was, between two undefeated teams, football, Texas and Arkansas. Texas won, and he declared Texas the national champion. What other undefeated team, major college, who was also undefeated, felt very slighted and made a big deal about Nixon ignoring them?
Oh, wow. That's Southern Cal?
No,
UCLA?
no,
No.
wrong part of the country.
Oh,
So it's probably Alabama then or something.
No, wrong part of the country.
well, what part of the country?
Gotta be
Easton,
Big Ten then.
Easton School.
Eastern
Penn State?
School? Georgetown?
Penn State is correct.
Penn State.
Yeah, I forget what year it was, 71. That's why he was president, so. He was president to what, 74?
No, yes, August
yes.
9th, 1974.
I know,
Interesting
that's the
thing.
day I got engaged.
Mazel tov.
So I have a little story here.
So two good things happened.
Right, that's right. Two good things happened.
Here's a little question. Babe Ruth, as a pitcher, gets tossed after one batter.
Oh. And
Who
the guy
followed
pitched a
him,
no-hitter.
and what happened?
The guy came in from and pitched a perfect game.
Ernie Shaw.
Oh,
Oh, Lord Almighty! You must
That's
read
great.
my notes here, Ernie.
what did Babe Ruth do? He walked the guy and then the guy
He
pitched
walked
for
the
He argued
guy,
with the umpire and
and
he
then
got
the batter
thrown out.
was erased, trying to steal,
Right.
and then the next guy retired. 26 batters.
26
Wow.
remaining batters. Yeah.
Yeah, oh, interesting. Knew about that. Cool.
So that's his perfect game.
What happens
With an
in a-
asterisk. We
what
can
happens
always
in a
use an
perfect-
asterisk.
What happens in a perfect game? He said no hits, no runs, no errors. But if somebody drops a foul ball, is that considered a perfect game?
Probably,
Yes,
Yeah.
no one got on
because
base.
it doesn't
Right.
count.
Foul.
Who knows? Who knows? Who knows?
Wow.
That was Ali Reynolds' no hitter
Yes.
when
It wasn't
Yogi
a
put
perfect
off the
game, but
Ted Williams
Derek-
dropped the
Right.
ball.
Derek dropped
Right.
that pop fly. That
But it
foul
wasn't-
pop.
But it wasn't a perfect game, just a no hit.
No,
No.
it wasn't.
Right.
It wasn't. There were no perfect games for many years until Larson in '56.
Mhm.
That's right.
World
Yeah.
Series, no less.
That's
A
right.
long time between perfect games.
Mhm.
All right, who else has one?
How many
Yeah,
hats does
Gerald.
Mark have?
Too many.
Too many.
On
Roger was in the room.
I was in the
Roger
throne.
got permission to come in the room and
You
look
got
at
into the inner sanctum, Roger.
Inner sanctum.
Wow, I'm impressed.
you. Be honored. Not too many
you're
people.
Impressed.
You're
My
the
wife
self-guided-
doesn't even come in this room.
you're the
Did they search
self-guided
you on the
tourist.
way out, Roger, and make sure you didn't take anything?
Right.
I think I actually have one that's hat he doesn't have.
Oh, is Tom Tresh still alive?
He's
In the
dead.
attic.
Mark, you ought to sell guided tours of that room.
I
Yeah.
know. A little little
That's
history.
what they got $4.
Who's got the question? Gerald? Yeah.
On May 31st, 1970, two White Sox teammates combined for 10 hits in one game at Fenway Park. Name the two White Sox
Whoa.
players.
10 hits. Wow.
Louis Aparicio.
Yes.
Really?
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
He was
Ellie
old by
Fox?
then.
He was
Not a
old,
big
yeah.
hitter.
And Jim Landis.
No,
Nellie Fox?
no,
Minnie Minoso?
no.
No.
I was gonna say that.
What year was that?
70?
1970.
Or 70?
Not Gus Triandos. Was it Gus Triandos?
No, he
Jerry.
wasn't.
No,
Sherman
no.
Lawler?
Sherman Lawler.
No,
It
no.
was
They were gone by then.
Wow.
Jungle,
Outfielder?
Jungle Jim Rivera.
I'll give you initials. WW.
Walt Williams.
Walt Weiss?
No,
Neck
no, no Neck Williams.
Williams.
Correct.
Wow.
Nick Williams.
No,
right.
He's had him for a little while. Cleveland too. Wow.
Did he?
Played for the Yankees a little bit.
He was in the Yankees?
Right.
I
Yeah.
think so.
I don't remember that.
Did they both have 5 hits apiece?
I believe they did. Yes.
Okay.
Oh.
Go ahead, Michael.
Wonders.
All right. Wes Westrom was a big league catcher for the New York Giants from 1947 to 1957.
Mhm.
During the 1965 season, what manager did Westrom replace?
Oh,
Casey Stengel.
Yeah.
Right. Casey
Right.
Stengel. Right.
Casey Stengel. I was gonna say Salty Parker. Remember Salty
oh,
Parker?
Yeah.
Solly Hemus. Remember?
Yeah.
Well, Smith. Shortstop.
I got a few
right?
more minutes, a few more questions. Anybody?
Where's Ralph Halk today?
6 feet under.
The major, the major. What
The
baseball
major.
team was once called the Robins?
The Dodgers.
Dodgers.
I didn't know.
Named after Wilbur
Good
Robinson.
Robertson.
The owner.
And
And
they're also
remember,
called
our
the
president.
Bridegrooms and the Super Bras.
Super
Oh, yeah.
Bowl.
Well, remember, what's the middle name of our president?
No,
Robinette.
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 What
That's
were the
right.
Yankees before they were the Yankees?
Island.
Islanders.
Yeah,
Right.
that's easy.
What was Mickey's first number as a rookie?
6.
42.
6, changed to 7 after he was sent down and returned. The Yankees wanted the tradition of Ruth 3, Garrick 4, DiMaggio 5, and Mantle 6, but he didn't like the number.
Wow.
Smart move.
All right.
Anybody else? Reminding, we got 3 minutes
Yeah,
left.
I got one.
Go ahead.
When
Fred.
you-
Name
Yeah.
the Hall of Famer who had only one major league at bat.
Walter
Yeah, last
Alston.
one.
Costello.
Alston.
Alston, that's right.
Good joke.
There must be a lot of people with one at bat
Not in the Hall of Fame, though.
on the Hall of Fame.
How about Eddie Goodell, Jerry?
Not an official at bat. He walked.
He walked, so he never had an at bat officially, right?
He
Fred,
was
you
the
have
cut-
one? You want to close the show, Fred?
Yeah, back I think in the All-American Football Conference, one year, the Steelers and the Eagles merged. What was the team nickname?
Eagles.
Eagles.
No,
It was the Steagles, wasn't it?
the Steagles is right.
Steagles?
The Steagles. The
Good
Steagles,
one.
right.
Eagles.
All right, boys, I'm gonna close it up today. I want to
It was a
thank you
novel
all.
quote.
I thought we had a
Good
great
show.
show today.
Great show.
Great
Number one.
show, and
good
and you
show.
guys are a part of it. And number 100 come, and it is gone.
Yeah,
And
Well, I
now
have
we
to
shoot
tell
for
you.
the second 100.
Yeah.
Right.
it was a great century, Mark. You
Great
really.
century.
Now
And
we're
listen,
gonna
in
one on the
4
mark.
weeks, in 4 weeks, we celebrate the 2-year anniversary.
Right.
We'll do that.
Right.
We'll be there.
Think about
Oh, yeah.
something like that. But again,
Yeah.
great show, guys. Great participation. I
Thank
hope you
you,
enjoyed.
Mark.
I hope you enjoy your shirts.
Great
Have
job
a
hosting.
fabulous
Yeah.
week. Enjoy the games that are coming on. And
Yeah.
and
Right.
next Thursday is play ball.
Yeah.
Are we on
Okay.
YouTube, Mark? Are we on YouTube at all?
We may
No.
put this on Facebook. We'll see.
I mean, on Facebook. It
We'll
is?
see. Maybe YouTube. We'll see.
I was like,
A special show, Christopher Glenn. All right, guys. Take care.
Great show,
See you
Mark.
soon.
Thank
Be
you.
good.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Take
Take
care.
care.
See you in school, Jerry.
Yes, Mike. I'll see you in Shul. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe, me too, maybe.